Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on June 6th, 2018. If you'd like to play my game, Decoding the Powerball, to help assist you in picking your own numbers, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 23, 25, 37, 44, and 64. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list, and then I take the last 3 drawings of numbers and I transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green area, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so how this works is I took the 69 white ball numbers, okay, and I divided that by 5 colors, and that equals 13.8. So my goal is to have either 13 or 14 numbers per color. Okay, so for this drawing here, I have 14 red numbers, 12 orange, 15 green, 14 blue, and 14 purple. And the number of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over here to the right is 233. This tells me how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings. Okay. So out of this 233 drawings, 121 drawings have come up a 3-color combination. 83 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 23 drawings have come up a 2-color combination. And only 7 times out of 233 drawings have all 5 colors come up together. And never has it been just 1 color. Okay, so this number right here, this number 2, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So you can see that there was 2 red numbers and 3 purple for 2 colors total. Okay, so how I use this is I try to correctly guess how many colors will be coming up in the next drawing. Okay, so more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, so the overall strategy is this. The overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners. So that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so to help me do that, I'm going to turn to how all 5 colors hardly ever come up together. Okay? So the strategy is try to correctly guess what color won't be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so for this drawing here, my guess is that no red numbers will be coming up. Okay, and the reason why I'm picking this one, and we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, but for me, I see a lot of red. Okay, from here down to here. Okay. And a red number has come up in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawings. Okay, so I just think that it's due to miss. Okay, so again, I don't think any red numbers are going to come up in this drawing, so I want to get rid of them. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate them off of the game card. Okay, so to speed things up, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no red numbers to it. Okay, so when I block out a number like this, this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on the Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these red numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet and none of these red numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, and how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number. Okay, and over here to the right are the numbers that just came up in the drawing. Again, it was the 23, 25, 37, 44, and 64. Okay, so how this works is I'm going to reduce this down for a second. Okay, so how this works, this turns out to be a 4-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see what I'm talking about. And what you're going to see here is that there's 7 groups here total. Okay, so group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9, and then it's the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, again for 7 groups total. Okay, so there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so 2 of these groups will not be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so again, how this works is this group of 1 through 9, this has 9 numbers to it, and the rest of these groups have 10 numbers to it. Okay, so when you look at this big square right here, okay, this is good for 5 drawings. Okay, so there's a couple reasons why I like to break it down into 5. Okay, one reason is that when I go back into the history of the drawings here, it's just easier to count, going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Okay, but the other reason is that if I see a bunch of hits within this 5 groups, within this 5 drawings here for the certain group of numbers, then I'm thinking that maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so for this drawing here, my guess is that no 20 numbers will be coming up. Okay, so the reason why is because within this 5 drawings here, the average is either usually 3 or 4, and you can see that this one has already have 5 hits to it. Okay, so I just think that it's due to miss. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate the 20 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to blow this back up again. Okay, so there's a couple ways I could use this. Okay, and one is I could highlight like one certain number, like the 17, and then I could go back into the history and see what colors have come up. Okay, so if the 17 hasn't been blue in a long time, when it hits that blue area, maybe I'll consider picking the 17 just because it hasn't been blue in a very long time. Okay, another way I use this is I try to correctly guess how many groups are going to be hit for this drawing. Okay, so most of the time it's either a 3 or 4 group hit. Okay, so as I go about through the history of this, you can see in the last 8 drawings it's been either a 3 or a 4. Okay, once in a while a 5 will come up. Okay, and once in a blue moon a 2 will come up. Okay, so here's a 2 right here. Okay, so you can see that the groups were 220 numbers and 360 numbers. Okay, for 2 groups total. Okay, so I never seen a 1. I never seen like all 60 numbers come up in the drawing. Okay, so since there's been so many 4s and 3s here in the last 8 drawings, I think that this next drawing is either going to be another 4 or another 3. Okay, so when I pick those numbers, I want it to represent either 3 groups or 4 groups. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the game card, and my pick was I don't think any 20 numbers are going to come up. So as I scroll over to the right, you can read underneath the individual numbers, no 20 numbers, and you can see that all the 20 numbers are taken off the board now. Okay, so if I'm correct with my pick, okay, my 2 picks here, if no red numbers come up from the color code and no 20 numbers come up from the individual numbers, okay, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within these colored numbers still left on the game card here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I took all the numbers and I divided it into 4 different groups. Okay, and I put colors to these groups. Okay, so I record where the 5 white winning Powerball numbers land within these groups down here in the stats. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage. And again, the 5 white winning numbers were the 23, 25, 37, 44, and 64. Okay, so as I go back here, you can see that the 25 is right here. Okay, so that's in the red area. So down here in the red stats, you can see that 1, and that represents the 25. Okay, so over here in the blue, it's the 23. Okay, so down here, this 1 represents that 23. Okay, and in the orange area, it's the 44. Okay, so again, this 1 in the orange represents that 44. Okay, and here in the green, it was the 37 and the 64. Okay, so that's why there's a 2 here in the green. Okay, so when all 5 Powerballs hit these 4 groups, I call it a row. Okay, so that way I could go back into the stats and see where these rows are. Okay, so if there's a big gap between rows, then maybe I'll guess that it will be a row. And if I do that, then I want the 5 white winning Powerball numbers to represent these 4 color groups here. Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to happen this time. All right, so I want to go on to the next game card. I have 15 of these game cards, and they all kind of look the same as far as the colors of red, blue, orange, and green. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so I'm going to come here to option card number 3, and you can see that there's a 0 here in the red area. Okay, so what that means is that none of these red numbers came up in the last drawing. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed in the last drawing that none of these red numbers were going to come up, I could have eliminated all these red numbers and really gave myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to pick that there's going to be no blue numbers here. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to option card number 2. And my guess is that no orange numbers are going to come up. Okay, so I don't believe that any of these numbers are going to come up here. Okay, so if I don't think they're going to come up, then I want to get rid of them. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can read underneath group 1 option card number 2, no orange numbers, and you can see that all these orange numbers are gone here. Okay, so I want to point something out here. Okay, and that is that the 69 and the 53 share the square. Okay, so what that means is that all I'm doing is keeping track of groups of numbers and trying to predict whether they're going to come up in the drawing or not come up in the drawing. Okay, so as I go back to this group 1 here, okay, if I don't think that these orange numbers are going to come up, then I'm going to get rid of them, and that includes the 53 and the 69 as a group. Okay, so again, I don't think that these are going to come up, so I'm going to get rid of the 69 and the 53 at the same time. Okay, so you can see that there's no numbers off here to the left side, and as I go back to the game card, you can see that the numbers are over here to the left. Okay, so the reason why I do that, okay, so this 19 shares the square with the 67 here. Okay, so the reason why I have this 19 out here and not crammed in here with the 67 is because of the color code. Okay, so you can see that the 19 is orange and the 67 is blue. Okay, but if I decide to get rid of all these numbers here in this square, I'm going to get rid of the 19 and the 67 along with all these other numbers as a group. Okay, but if I just want to get rid of the orange numbers, I'm going to get rid of this 19, but the 67 is still in play. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1, and my next pick is going to be option card number 4, no orange numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one, and again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, okay? But this one, these orange numbers here have come up in the last 25 drawings, okay? So I just think that it's kind of due to miss, okay? So as I follow down this orange here, you can see that all these hits, okay? So again, I just have a gut feeling that there's going to be a 0 here, okay? Which means that I don't believe that any of these orange numbers are going to come up, okay? So again, I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can read underneath option card number 4, no orange numbers. Okay, so you can see that all these orange numbers are gone now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1, and my next pick is going to be option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so as I go to option card number 7 here, and again, I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one, and again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, okay? So as I go down, you can see that these blue zeros here, sometimes they double up like over here, okay? But as I go down to this green one, you can see that there's a bunch of single blue numbers here, okay? And I think that it's ready to double up like right here, okay? So as I go up to the very top again, okay, for the newest number, again, I think that there's going to be a 0 right here, which means that I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. So as I go back to the game card, I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, and this is what the game card looks like so far, okay, with all those missing numbers to it. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks here, and none of these blocked out numbers come up in a drawing, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card here, okay? So I'm going to go back to group 1 for one last pick, and that's option card number 8, no red numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 8 right here, okay? So the reason why I'm picking this one is because every once in a while it triples up. These zeros triple up, and this one hasn't tripled up in a very long time. Okay, so I'm still scrolling down here, and I still don't see the triple yet. And there it is right here. Okay, so as I go back up, you can see that it just hasn't been a triple in a very long time. And I think that's due to happen here. Okay, so again, I think there's going to be a 0 right here, which means that I don't believe that any of these red numbers will be coming up on this option card. So again, I want to get rid of them, but I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within these colored numbers still left on the game card here. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so again, there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 3 of these groups won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these colored groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it, and you eliminate that colored group off of the game card. Okay, so how this works is, again, I have 15 of these option cards here in group 2, okay, and they all have the same colors as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow, okay. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so you can see here on option card number 1, the red numbers go from 1 down to the 57. And over here on option card number 2, you can see the red numbers go from 1 over to 8. And that also includes the 66 in that group. Okay, so another way that I use this here is I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. Another way I do things is down here in the stats, okay? I like to keep track of every 5 drawings, okay? And the reason why I do that is because it will show me a majority of things, okay? So this 0 here, this 0 means that none of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area, okay? And this 2, of course, means that 2 out of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, so again, I want to see a majority of things. Okay, so you can see that there was 3 zeros here, or 3 misses, so I colored the background blue for cold. Okay, and down here in the next line, the next 5 drawings, you can see that there was 3 hits to it. Okay, so the majority, I believe, I call it hot. Okay, so I colored the background red for hot. Okay, so as I go through the history of things, okay, so this was the first drawing, and the most current drawing is on the bottom. Okay, so as I go through, you can see that things got really, really hot here, okay, and then it started to cool down a little bit. Okay, so since the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay hot forever and nothing can stay cold forever. Okay, so when I see something that's been really, really hot, well, eventually I know it's going to cool down. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so that's basically how you use this. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down, back down to 90 here. Okay, and my first pick here is going to be option card number 3, no blue numbers. Okay, so this is option card number 3. Okay. And here's the blue section right here. This is the blue stats, okay? And it represents these blue numbers right here, okay? So as I head down to the stats, through the stats, you can see that things were like 50-50, but then they got really, really hot. And now I think they're going to start to cool off, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here, okay? So if there's a 0 there, then that means that I don't believe that any of these blue numbers are going to come up. Okay, so I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so the only one left is this 9. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. And now you can see that that 9 is gone. Okay, so hopefully the 9 won't come up. All right, so I'm going to go back to group 2. And my next pick is option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards. And here's the green area. So as I head down through, you can see that things got really, really hot to start. Then it got hot again, and now I think it's going to start to cool off. So I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so if that happens, I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up. Okay, the 49, 68, 51, 60, and all the way across. Okay, so you can see that the 51, 60, and the 55 are part of those green numbers. So I'm going to scroll to the left now. And again, you can read underneath Group 2, option card number 7, no green numbers. And you can see that 51, 60, and 55 are gone now. Okay, so hopefully those numbers won't be coming up. All right, so I'm going to go back to Group 2. And my next pick is going to be option card number 8, no purple numbers. Okay, so here's the purple stats right here. And as I head down through, you can see that things were kind of like 50-50 here. And then I got a little hot here, and now I just think that things are going to cool off. And I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any of these purple numbers are going to come up on this option card number 8. Okay, so I want to get rid of these purple numbers through the game card. Okay, and I believe that the only one left is the 12 and the 44. I guess maybe just a 12, we'll see. Okay, but the 12 is gone now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Group 2, and my next pick is going to be option card number 12, no gray numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 12. Here's the gray stats right here. And as I head down through, you can see that things were really, really cold. And then they got really, really hot. Okay, and now I think they're going to go back to being cold again. Okay, so I think there's going to be a 0 here, which means I don't believe that any of these gray numbers are going to come up in the drawing. Okay, so the only one left, I believe, is the 2. Okay, so I'm going to scroll over to the left. And you can see option card number 2, no gray numbers, and you can see that that 2 is gone now. Okay, so it's only one number that I got rid of, but that's one less number that I have to be concerned about. Okay, hopefully. All right, so I'm going to go back to Group 2 for one last pick. And that's option card number 15, no red numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the red right here. And as I head down through, you can see that things got really hot right there. And then they got wicked hot here. And now I think they're going to start to cool off. So I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up in this option card 15. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. You can read underneath option card number 15, no red numbers, and you can see that that 3 and the 39 are gone now. Okay, so I started off with 69 white ball numbers, okay, and I eliminated a bunch of them. So what I have left is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers left. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks and none of these blocked out numbers come up in the drawing, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within these numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so I like to keep track of that and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so how this works is this 278 right here. This is how many drawings I kept track of so far. And this goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers. Okay, And out of this 278 drawings, 140 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers. 138 drawings have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so I think that's kind of amazing that it's so close together after so many drawings. Okay, so my guess for this is I think there's going to be more even numbers than odd numbers. Okay, so as I head down through, I want to show you how this works. Okay, so again, I like to break things down into 5 because it shows me a majority. Okay, so with this 5 drawings right here, you can see that the evens won 3 drawings to 2. Okay, so as I keep on going down through the history of things, all right, I try to correctly guess what this 5 drawings will be here. Okay. So actually, I changed my mind here. I think there's going to be more odd numbers than even numbers. Okay, so I think that the majority of this 5 will be odds over the next 2 drawings here. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one here. And this next one is high and low. All the red numbers are considered high numbers. All the blue numbers are considered low numbers. Okay, so this one, it's 136 have been 136 drawings have been the majority to the high side or the red side, and 142 drawings have been the majority to the low side. Okay, and my next one is left and right, and you can see that 138 drawings have been the majority to the left side, and 140 have been the majority to this right side here. Okay, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm not going to be taking any guesses at that, and I'll show you the reason why in a second. Okay, and then here this red and blue, you can see that the red has had the majority, 160 drawings to 118 drawings. Okay, so the reason why I'm not going to be taking a guess at those other 3 is because you can see that there's 6 numbers here, okay? And the majority over here is to the left side, and the majority is already to the high side, okay? So it has to be to the high, you know? So I can't make a guess on that. The only one that I can make a guess at is whether it's going to be odd numbers or even numbers for the majority. And I said I thought the majority is going to be odds. Okay, so I wrote down evens, but I changed my mind. So I'm going to write down odds here. Okay, so I think there's going to be more odd numbers than even numbers. Okay, and you can see that for this drawing here, I got 3 even numbers and 3 odd numbers. And again, I think the 3 odd numbers are going to come up for this drawing. Okay, so as I go back to the 50-50 picks here, there's one more thing I want to show you. And this is what I have for the Powerball number itself. Okay, that's that red number. And the red number for the last drawing came up as number 7. Okay, so if you don't know how the Powerball works, again, there's 69 white ball numbers and there's 26 red ball numbers. Okay, so you got to get 5 white balls correct and you got to get the 1 red ball correct. So if you do that, then you win the grand prize, which is 87 million this drawing here. Okay, so but if you just get all 5 white balls correct, then again it's a $1 million prize, and if you do the power play, then it's a $2 million prize. Okay, but how this works for the Powerball number, the red number, if you're looking at this column here, okay, then a blue number means that it's low, 1 to 13. Again, there's 26 numbers, so I just cut it in half, okay? So if you see a red number, then that means it's high, 14 to 26, okay? So over here in this column, if you see a red number, then that means it's odds. And if you see a blue number, then that means it's evens. Okay, so why I do this, for me, I just like looking at the colors, okay? So when I see something all red like this, a streak of red, well, I know it's going to be blue eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so for this drawing here, I think that this is going to be blue in this column here, which means a low number, 1 to 13. And then over here, I think that this is going to be blue as well. So I think it's going to be an even number. Okay, so I think the Powerball number will be a low even number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right. Actually, I got to go to the next strategy. Sorry about that. Okay, and that's strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card here. Okay, so for this, I think there's going to be lots of hits among the brown areas of group 2. Okay, so as I go back to group 2 here, again, I have 15 of these option cards, and they all have the same colors to it as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. Okay, it's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other, from each different option card. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is I keep track of all the red areas, all the blue areas, all the orange, and so on. Okay, so I do that, and I call that the Group 2 overview. Okay, so I'm going to go to that right now, the Group 2 overview. Okay, so this is what I call the Group 2 overview right here. Okay, so how this works is, again, this stands for all those red areas, and this is for the blue, okay, all the blue areas. So in the last drawing, there was 8 hits, 7 misses among those 15 option cards, okay? So the magic number here is 8, okay? It's right in the middle of 15, okay? So if there's 8 or more hits, I color the background red for hot. If there's 8 or more misses, I color the background blue for cold. Okay, so here I get to just look at the colors again. Okay, so if I believe that this area is going to be red in this green section, then that means at least 8 or more of those option cards are going to have a hit to it. Okay, so for this drawing here, I believe that this brown area is going to have a red here. Okay, so I believe there's going to be at least 8 or more hits to it in this brown area for all those 15 option cards. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, okay, like I said, I thought there was going to be lots of hits. Lots of hits in the brown area here, okay? So how this works is for this group, for this number 1 here, this represents option card number 1. So as I go back to group 2 here, for option card number 1, the brown area runs from the 6 down to the 62. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I look at the 6 down to the 62, and there's no numbers there left, so I put a 0. Okay, so I'm going to go to option card number 2, the brown area, and you can see that it runs from the 41 over to the 48. So as I go back to the game card here, you can see that the 41, 42, and 47 are still in play. So I wrote that right here, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go to option card number 3. Show you one more here. So option card number 3 goes from the 5 down to the 29 and the 34 to the 68. So you can see there's no numbers here between the 5 and the 29, but over here in the 34, the one that's left is the 42. So I wrote that right here, the 42. Okay, so I did that with all 15 option cards, and these were the numbers that were still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so I'm going to scroll over here to the right. And the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 15, 36, 41, 42, and 47. Okay, so with this combination of numbers, this will give me 8 hits, 7 misses among those 15 option cards. Okay, so you can count them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of those. Okay, 8 hits out of those 15 option cards. Okay, so as I go back to the Group 2 overview, again, I think that this is going to be an 8. This is 7. Okay, so since it's 8 or more hits, I think it's going to be red. So I'll give you a visual on what I think is on how I think it's going to look, and that will how it will look if I'm correct with my picks. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, so again I changed my mind about more odd numbers than even. So you can see that the 15 is odd, the 41 is odd, and the 47 is odd. Okay, so for this drawing here, I just might play 2 tickets instead of just 1. Okay, so I might exchange that 15 for the 4. Okay, and I'll spend $6 for this drawing instead of 3. Okay, so again, that's basically how I use my game. And again, we're all going to look at this a little bit different. So we're all going to come up with a different result. Okay, so again, if you're interested in using my game to help assist you in picking your own numbers, then please visit my website at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. Okay, and if you'd like to send me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. All right, folks. That's it for the for this one here. Again, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 15, 36, 41, 42, and 47. So I appreciate you watching my video. If you like the content of this, then please subscribe. Okay, and as always, I like to wish everybody the best of luck with your picks.